How do you work with your music when you make music? Where do you from where do you start?
That's the impossible question to answer, you know. It's one of those things, you know, when people, maybe you find this too, when people ask you, is a song autobiographical? And it's kind of like, well, of course, every song you ever write is, in some senses, is autobiographical because you have to draw on, you know, sort of human experience and understanding. But I always feel like every song is like a little bit of me, a little bit of my friends, a little bit of what I've seen in the news.
Yes, but I wonder when you start, like, you want to write.
Do you mean the musical side or the lyrical side, or both?
I mean, actually, I mean both. Like, when I write, I always write the lyrics first.
Okay.
Because that's the other way around is really hard for me. So and then the music. So I just wonder, where do you start a song? Is it do you sometimes get at the same time the lyrics and the tune and the?
I find it hard to write the music if I have a set of lyrics that's very much exactly the way I want them to be. I find it very hard then to retroactively fit the music to the lyrics. I mean, sometimes I'll have a title or a theme or an idea. I might have a few fragments of lyrics, but I find that they kind of work like that. So I have a little bit of a lyric, then I get the music going, and then I work a little bit more on the lyrics. So there's a kind of symbiotic relationship between the way the lyrics and the music work together. Sometimes I just have a title. I don't even know what this song's going to be about, you know. I had this title on my last record, People Who Eat Darkness, which I stole from a book. I just thought, that's a great title. And I didn't know what it was going to be about, but in the end it ended up about being a song about living next door to a terrorist cell.
I saw that, yeah.
So, but I didn't necessarily know that, but I thought, People Who Eat Darkness, well, what could that be about? And then you start to imagine, well, who are the people that are full of, they have this darkness inside them, but they present this rather sort of banal impression to the rest of the world. So it became about that, but I didn't necessarily know what that was about when I just had this title.
But isn't that the thrilling part of making things? Because it's always some kind of finding out things, and you don't know it. I'm going to make an album about that. You just start somewhere. And
yeah, which is why it's so hard to articulate the creative process to someone. I mean, it's one of the questions that you know, if songwriters, I'm sure you do, you get asked more and more than any other question is, how do you create music? And it's a very hard thing to articulate because I don't know. It's how do you, for me, the most terrifying thing of all is the blank page, the prospect of the blank page. How am I going to fill this blank page? And I'm constantly amazed that there are still things to be said, because every time I start a new record, my first feeling is there's nothing left for me to say. I've said it all. I'll never write another song.
Thank you.
Right? It's just,
yeah, it's the
but
same.
I think it's a universal. I think a lot of songwriters have that. You think there's nothing left to say. What? And you constantly surprise yourself that actually there is things. But if you ask me where it comes from or how I pulled it out of the air, I have no idea.
No. But I didn't mean to ask you that.
Yeah.
It's how do you physically
right.
work?
The practical
and you work
side
with
of things.
you work with a guitar, I guess, and yeah.
I work with everything. I can create a song from a drum loop, a sample, a texture, a piano, a guitar. I don't really have any set way of doing things. One of the things I used to do for many years, and I still do, is when I start a new record, I go out and buy some new instrument. It could be a banjo, it could be a hammered dulcimer, just something that will inspire me. The problem with the guitar these days is it's such an over-familiar sound, but sometimes just different tunings can kind of spur that creative instinct again.